Alright, good evening. This is a recap of Monday Gnomer, date 26th of February. The reason why is there were some peculiar things that made me curious towards mechanics and things that went wrong and right. This is not to name or shame anybody, merely educative purposes for anybody that cares to watch. Now let's start. The first peculiar thing happened early on, where the priest, per usual, puts a pre-hot on the tank. It's a normal thing to do. However, because the boss spawns, and there is, I believe, some issue with latency, where it hits you before you can hit it. And then what's going to happen is it ran towards the priest because he got healing aggro for a split second. And the mistake got rectified the moment you auto-attack the boss, but it's very clunky and it kind of messes up 2 or 3 seconds, possibly even more. I would even argue 5 seconds. To put it in numbers, here you can see what happens. So the renew is pre-taking, and here it's overhealed, and then in 11 seconds it heals for the full 140 amount. Now you can see that the damage I take, the boss auto attacks me at 11.6. I'm being healed at 11.7. So that's about a millisecond, perhaps 1.5 milliseconds. And then I hit the boss at 12. So I hit him about half a millisecond later. That is very little time. My advice would be don't pre-ult the tank. We wouldn't have had these problems in Classic because it was very usual to pre-ult the tank, but every boss in Classic you could pre-engage. So for example, even Patchwork you would range hit first with a dynamite arrow, etc. And then the healers would start casting. But because this boss kind of spawns in and you immediately have to attack him, and you can't pre-target him like the dragon in BWL, Vilstraza, I believe. Not Vilstraza. It doesn't matter, like the one after Razorgore. That one you can pre-target, so the moment he engages, you will instantly attack him. Anyway, long story short, don't pre-ult the tank, and there shouldn't be this issue. Okay, the boss is back on the tank. Everybody's trying to restabilize. Both tanks are in front of the boss, which probably shouldn't be a thing. Anyway, something else that happened, which quite vital for most tanks to know, is here. So I'm not sure if you saw it. Let's go it again. So that's 35, 36, bang. So about 36.5, he starts his furnace cast. I'm pretty sure his furnace cast is like 3 seconds. Could also be even longer. It's quite significant. So you have plenty of time to run away. Now here, it's 36. I do a quick swipe, I turn and I run. There. And then still at 37, I am being dazed. We can close this. Let's see, this is damage I took. So he melees me at 37.8, even though he's still casting his ability. I didn't know this could happen. He's casting and he still melees. So for all tanks, don't turn your back to him until you're out of range and then yeet it. Anyway, you kind of will see the quick aftermath of what happens next. Um, I switch to cats, Bob sprints, try to run away. I'm pretty sure I hit an iron pole there. I got stuck behind an iron pole because I'm an idiot. When you're running, look at where you're running. I mean, oh, fuck me. Anyway, still running away. 8 stacks. Like, Paladin took over once he stops his flamethrower. Good job there. And I start out of form healing myself for a bit. So I waited the last dot tick and then started healing myself to alleviate some of our mana healer problems. Okay. So here, next thing happens. The tank, right? He's casting his procal thing, and the paladin is running. Now, what happens next? If you look at Lepic, he isn't really doing anything, right? He has plenty of range. He's not casting his abilities, otherwise you would see it on the side. And yet, bang! The tank targets him. Now Lepic notices it, vanishes it. Good job there. And he goes back to the paladin. Now, in itself, this is not a big problem because he was a rogue, but Pearl has to stop DPS, Crux has to stop DPS. You'd think this is a threat issue, just like. But if we go to the threat, you can see this is the paladin. He's far beyond everything. I think, by the way, the mage is bugged, so don't take too much heed into that one. But anyway, the paladin is far above and beyond everybody. And the rogue is not even close. This is his point of vanishing. So, he didn't overtake him a threat, and I spoke to Lepic, and he confirmed, he said, I looked at the tiny threat, I didn't overtake him. So there might be some other mechanic we have to be considerate of, and perhaps stop DPS altogether. And even if you're not DPSing, the boss might still turn, like you can see in the Lepic case. Could it be something with range, that if you are too far away from the boss that he turns? I don't know. Food for thought. Okay. Now, here for Lalo, just basically look at the tank positioning, right? I'm staying behind the boss with everybody else, making sure you don't take any stacks. That is kind of what the elf tank is supposed to do, but well, for obvious reasons, we took the switch. I mention this because later on it will kind of cause a few considerable problems. Now here, I won't have my cooldowns up for this boss, which is always a bit of a fickle bit. It's like a 3-minute timer in which I can keep threat, but anyway. The paladin overtakes me in threat, and basically I tried to take it back because I was under the illusion of being a main tank, but anyway, it's not important. You can see, okay, give up here, turn, stay behind the boss. It's kind of like the whole idea. Only one person in front of the boss because they all have frontal AoE. Now, okay, this is all pretty much the same thing. Next boss. Okay, so we just attack it. And you can see the kind of repetitive problem, right? And I'll probably mention it another 6 times. Sorry for beating a dead horse, but yeah, you can't have 2 tanks in front of the boss. In that case, okay, so yeah, this is actually a good moment to double check what exactly went wrong. So here, you can see that his AoE hits both tanks, and you know, it's not a lot, 1 penance, but it starts to stack up, right? Like 4, 3, 3, and if you get it's another 1100 that the healers have to deal with that is completely avoidable. Something else that is mentionable for Lalo is you got crit here. Now, crit immune is probably not a thing yet, even with the runes. But I would void consecration and just go into deep prot. Yeah, that's just, if you want to talk about it, hit me up, Fenrir. Consecration in itself is not that strong for threat, and you really don't need it. Like, paladins are pretty neat at the moment with their damage and threatening abilities. Okay. Anyway, you know, the crits and then the double healing kind of caused the death there. Which, ta-da! Okay, I will keep playing it because what's going to happen is the paladin is going to get battle rest. And if you're battle rest as a tank, you immediately want to help again. But next time, stop a moment, breathe, drink all your potions, wait until you get a fort buff, mark buff, if you do get them at all. Try to rebuff some other people that might have had problems, and then just stay behind the boss if the other tank is taking it. Because what happens now is here. So you died in between this bit and here. We just start taking damage again. And the first Nox hammer hits us the same, but then you get hit for 600 and then 400. So yeah, that kind of results into the fact that when you go in with 52% and you take avoidable damage, then like you will drop quite low, I believe, again. Yeah, 44. Now, to be fair, like healers have other things to do, which is why you will not be targeted. But it's completely avoidable. Okay, then that boss is done. Okay, so the boss runs away, and here comes the final bit. It's going to be interesting once again. Okay, so final boss, great. I have my cooldowns up for this one, and I kept them specifically. Usually I would pick a pop one at the poison boss, but in this case I kind of wanted to make sure that I had threatened the last boss. Knowing the paladin was a little bit more squishy. Yes, I'm that good of a player, haha. Let's not forget I ran against a pole in the middle of the fight, but anyway. Here, we're gonna watch some of the damage. What is this? Oh, yeah, this is damage taken. Okay, so damage taken by a bow. 510. Okay, no, I don't want this. I want... Sorry, I need to go to enemies. And I think damage done. Yeah, this is better. There we go. So something that was so interesting here is his super cool and smash. It does both for roughly the same. Then his sprocket fire punch hits me once and hits him twice for 1400. Then you continue and you're like, okay, super cool and smash once again. Go down a bit, go down. Hammer, hazardous hammer. All are AoE, frontal AoEs by the way that he does. So they are completely avoidable and only one tank should take them. But in the name of science, what is so interesting, super cool and smash and hazardous hammers hits us both once. Then we go to sprocket fire punch twice, once. Once. We go down, Sprocket Fire, punch. Once, twice. Let's see, does he do another one? Okay, so here he does a punch on Laveau. And no punch on me. Might have moved behind the boss. Probably moved behind the boss here at this point. Anyway, we will watch it real quick. So I have my cooldowns for this boss. There's no way he's going to overtake. You can see that like this is a 1400 hit, and you can clearly see the getting the Sprocket Fire punch twice is rough for your health. Yeah, I mean you can't blame our healers for not keeping up with that, and they're doing a really good job. Now, something that I would urge for the healers: get familiar with the mechanics, and if you do see two tanks in front of the boss, yell. Take the liberty to be like, hey, this is not how it's supposed to be. I kept my mouth shut for other reasons, but don't feel taxed on trying to engage or stop people's with engaging in a bad mechanic. A raid leader should 100% see this. Like, a raid leader should be yelling minus 50 DKP. Okay, anyway, I'm targeting currently Laveau. Laveau is targeting the boss, and the boss is targeting me. Now, here, he targets Laveau for the second. Or longer than a second. And that's something that's so interesting, because I looked at the debuffs, and I was convinced that Laveau taunted the boss because I was popping all my cooldowns, because crowd pummeler, etc. But he didn't. And like, how do we know? If you go to the fire resist boss, you can see Hand of Reckoning, 1, 2, 3, and then you go to the last boss, no Hand of Reckoning, so he never taunted the boss. I think he might just have overtaken me a threat. Either way, if you look at the graph, you know, this is the last boss where you can see XD. You can see the crowd pummeler threat. The mage, again, I think it's bugged, I don't know. But just because the mage isn't working doesn't mean everything else isn't working. But we must take it in consideration that everything else is broken too. But anyway, this is the paladin threat, and here he died. Like, it's not close. So I don't know what's going on there. Either way, not important. Let's have a look. So he targets the paladin there, and bang, that. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's just, I think melee quite high. I think this might have been a crit because of the weird stars. But yeah, the healers were also pretty out of mana because of, well, all the other shenanigans before that. Either way. Oh, something here, right? Just for quick reference. The moment I noticed the boss was on the paladin, I just left my position and moved behind. I also stopped casting my abilities because I didn't want to retake you with threat. And then when you died, that's the moment when technically an off tank steps in, moves into his position, pops preferably a cooldown, and continues tanking. That's kind of the whole part of the off tank. Now, if I'm an off tank as a druid, which I'm currently not, at least under the illusion of not, then you would go in cat form. Paladin 2 hands. Anyway, that's it. For quick summary, for if you haven't watched the whole video, no pre-hots, careful when kiting the boss because he might turn and smack you for no reason. Probably not run too far away, that's my guess. Don't stand in, oh actually, don't run against an iron pole. That's right here. Don't stand both in front of the boss. Have a clear main tank, off tank role. Let's have a look. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, if you do die, don't immediately run back in front of the boss. Just take the position as the off tank, heal, try to alleviate you, pop your potions. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you all.